swear, like this is kind of like an impromptu thing. I was just thinking, I literally just like started like rambling onto myself while I was in the shower. I was going crazy. I was going ham at the shampoo bottles, dude. And I was thinking like, dang, the hero of Winds, or like the hero in like Wind Waker and stuff. That guy is that guy's intense, dude. Like you start at the beginning of the game, everything's going fine, you know. Your sister gives you a telescope, and you're like, wow, this is useless. Uh, and then it's all going well and good, and then you know your sister gets snatched, right? Gets snatched by a bird, and you're like, oh no. And I would have been sitting in there, and I would have been like, dang, that sucks. I guess I just better start like a memorial service or start mourning for her. What does my boy in Wind Waker do? What does he do? He gets trained in the art of the sword, and he sets off in a pirate ship. In a pirate ship with a band of like marauding pirates, to go find his sister. Yep. And so he goes with Tetra and all those pirates, and he goes like, he goes sailing, he goes, woo! And then he arrives at the Forsaken Fortress, right? And they launch him out of a cannon into the Forsaken Fortress. He literally gets launched into a giant den of monsters, run by, like, you know, Ganondorf, to save his sister. This guy's pretty epic. And then, well, what happens? Well, he gets his ass kicked.
Dorime, interrimo ad appare dorime.
Ass kicked. And it's like, I don't know. And so, does he give up? Does he decide to go home? He tried, he failed. No. No, he takes the advice of his talking boat. Which gives him the power to control the wind, which would actually break the world because, based on how, like, hot and cold fronts work, but we're going to involve, we're not going to involve that. He goes around to collect pearls so that he can get the Master Sword so that he can defeat Ganon. Why? Like, he gathers the 3 pearls, and they form like a Triforce, and then he makes the Tower of the Gods. And then he goes into the Tower of the Gods. And he's like, alright, cool. Runs through the Tower of the Gods, beats it, grabs the Master Sword, and then goes through the entire trials of restoring the Master Sword's strength. Not so that he can take down the source of evil in this world. In fact, Ganondorf is actually a really reasonable person in this, and he's probably the best version of Ganondorf besides the Twilight Princess one, because he's like actually like a good person in this one. And then he gets stabbed in the head at the beginning of the game by a 12-year-old. Pretty gruesome stuff. And so basically Link in Wind Waker goes through all these journeys of restoring the Master Sword's strength and meeting all of these sages. Not so he can be the hero. He can be known as the hero of Winds. He's just some kid from an island. He's literally just some kid. He's like, I'm pretty sure the gods didn't choose him. You could tell me, but like he chose himself. Like, there's the legend at the beginning of the game that your grandmother tells you, and Link was just like, sign me up, boys. I don't care. I'll make the gods choose me. I will make them. And so he goes around restoring the Master Sword, and he collects pieces of the Triforce. And he jumps through all these hoops just so that he can free his sister. And it's like, what the heck? And it's like, well, all this stuff happens. All this great and epic stuff happens, and eventually he does free his sister, and he just kind of goes through finding Ganon. Anyway, like I'm aware. But like, this man, he collects the pieces of the Triforce of Courage. He restores the Master Sword because of his sister. He doesn't care about no legend. He's like, screw that shiz. Nah, I want to save my freaking sister. What do you think, I'm a hero? I just want to save my sister. What the heck? Like, he even gets to own a private island resort a private island, which does actually have one of the Triforce pieces underneath it in an underground labyrinth. But in a game where the entire world map is flooded and only the tops of mountains remain, I can imagine that real estate is a bit hard to come by. So this guy is sitting on like a couple $1 million. Like, houses down like in like Santa Monica down the beach are already coming for like $3 million. But like this is a guy who's owning an island, which is only one of the only islands in existence now, one of the only places to live now because everywhere else is flooded. That's gonna be like maybe like $10 million. It's one of the only places of real estate that exists in the world. And then he goes through all these hoops. He jumps through all these hoops. And in the very end, how does he kill Ganondorf? Oh, does he just slash him? Does he banish him away to the Shadow Realm? No. He rolls around him, jumps like 6 or 7 feet in the air, like 3 or 4 times his body height, and he impales him through his skull. What the hell, dude? You didn't have to do him like that. Also, he fights him, under the water in the ruins of a magical palace where the water is all pouring around him and he's about to drown. One of the most epic battle scenes ever. Like, dude, my man, you didn't have to do Ganondorf like that, dude. He's just a guy. He was but a man, and you'd have to just like flex on him so hard, dude. What's wrong with you? And then he goes home and it's like, it's fine. But it's like, bro, why? Dude, this was like the least threatening version of Ganon ever. He has this whole monologue about how he just wants to use the Triforce to save his land, who's always like, it's like a desert place. And he's like, my people, they can't eat. And then, King Hyrule is just like, no, screw your people. I'm flooding this place. And Link is just like, alright, Hyrule, whatever you tell me, I'll drive the Master Sword through this innocent man's skull. I mean, like, why not? Sounds pretty cool. Is my sister okay? Will my sister be okay? Okay, then I'll do it. It's like, dude, why'd you have to do him like that? And I feel like maybe that's why the Twilight Princess Ganon is so he became so epic. Like, how he gets like impaled. He survives this execution basically, which is already badass enough, and then he gets sent to a different dimension, the Twilight Realm, and he still managed to puppeteer that dimension and come out. Maybe the reason he like forced himself to become so badass is because he got like stabbed through the head by a 12-year-old who somehow managed to jump like 5 times his body height. He was like, all right, I need to up my game for this one. I can't have a Wind Waker happening again. I tried being nice. What happened? I got a sword, 6 inches through my skull. Didn't end up too great.